Students, in the last session, we have learned how to calculate gravitational force acting between 2 point masses. But when we are dealing with extended masses, gravitational force acting between two extended masses or one extended and the other one point mass, in such cases, directly you cannot use gravitational force equation because gravitational force is applicable for 2 point masses. So whenever you are dealing with central forces, they are applicable for point masses, not for extended masses. So in order to deal with extended objects, like you have a rod. This rod has linear mass density lambda, its mass is m and its length is L, and you have one point mass here. This point mass is small m. This point mass has small m mass. Now I want to calculate gravitational force acting between these two masses. One is point mass and the other one is extended mass. So when you are dealing with this kind of situation, clearly you should understand that, see, this is extended mass. The separation between these 2 points and separation between these 2 points is not same. If you clearly observe, I am considering this small element here. If I am taking very small element here, the separation from this point mass dm and this mass, let me consider it as x. Likewise, if you are taking the small element here, this element is dm and the separation for this element will become x plus L. So as we know, gravitational force equation F is equal to capital G m1 m2 divided by r square. This r in the denominator is variable for extended masses. Is r constant in this case? R is not constant. For rod, it is extended up to L. Therefore, you cannot use this relation directly. You cannot substitute mass of the rod and mass of the point mass, and you cannot find out gravitational force. Of course, masses, if you even put mass of the rod, you will substitute in place of m1, point mass you will substitute in place of m2. But what about r? R is not constant. R you cannot take it as constant because it is variable from x length to x plus L length. Therefore, for gravitational force to calculate for extended masses, directly you cannot use the relation. So what we will do, we will first find out, we will consider very small element in the rod and we will find out gravitational force acting between the element and point mass. So this is applicable for point masses only. This is applicable for point masses only. So what I am doing is, I'll take very small element and that element I can take somewhere here. I am considering very small element here. This element length I am taking it as dm and this element is situated at a distance small l from the other point mass. The separation between dm mass and the other point mass is L. And this L value, if I am taking small element here, what does this L become? L will become x. If I am taking dm at the edge of other end of the rod, then dm, that length will become, small l will become x plus capital N. So I can write it as limits for length small l will be x to x plus capital N. Now I want to find out gravitational force. Therefore, first I will take this small element and I will find out gravitational force acting between that element and mass M. So I will write it as dF I'm taking dm mass. That's the reason why you will be writing it as df. It is capital G into m into dm divided by separation is L square. Separation is L square. Let me take this as equation number 1. As we know, for linear mass density, lambda is equal to capital M divided by L. Same linear mass density, if I take for small element, I can write it as dm divided by dl, where width of this small element which I am choosing is dl. From this you can write dm is equal to capital M divided by L into dl. This is number 2. I can now substitute this dm limit dm value in equation 1. So if I take that and substitute here, you will get df is equal to capital G m divided by L square into dm. You can write it as capital M divided by L into dm. Just I am writing dm, and that dm I have substituted in the first equation. Now for small element, if the force is a df, for the whole rod I want to find out the force. Therefore you will take one small element here, 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 here, like this. Rod is divided into very small elements, and df value I will calculate for each element, and I will add them. If I add them, like, it is nothing but integration, so I'll simply integrate this in order to calculate net force within the limits x to x plus capital M. This is equal to integration x to x plus capital L, capital G, capital M, small m divided by capital L into dl divided by L square. Okay, these all are constants. You can just bring them out. So f can be written as f is equal to capital G, capital M, small m divided by capital L, integration dl divided by L square. Limits are from x to x plus L. This is in the form of integration 1 by x square. So simply you can write this as capital G, capital M, small m divided by L, integration x to x plus capital L into L power minus 2 into dl. What is formula for integration of x power n dx? Integration x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. X power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. Like same way I will substitute here. This gives you f is equal to capital G, capital M, small m divided by capital L into L power minus 2 plus 1. It is L power minus 1 divided by minus 1. Limits are from x to x plus capital L. I'll substitute that here. Capital G, capital M, small m divided by capital L. That minus comes over here, and first limit I will substitute here as x plus L minus lower limit I will substitute it as L. Wherever L is there, in that place of L I am substituting upper limit first. L power minus 1 will be written as 1 by L. So first upper limit x plus L minus of lower limit, I will substitute this x value. So capital F can be now written as capital G, capital M, small m divided by capital L into, of course, one negative sign over there. It is x minus capital L divided by x into x plus capital N. This plus x minus x gets cancelled. This minus gets cancelled. L and L gets cancelled. What is left over here? Capital G, capital M, small m divided by x into x plus L. This is the equation for gravitational force acting between two masses. One is extended mass and the other one is point mass. For any extended mass, you should use the same procedure and you should calculate gravitational force. So first concept of gravitation chapter is gravitational force. Gravitational force act between two masses irrespective of their size and shape. Likewise, gravitational field is also a gravitational field is the other concept which to be learned in gravitation chapter. Let me explain what is mean by gravitational field now. Let us take Earth. As we know, Earth itself is huge mass. Earth will be pulling all the masses towards its center. So when we are dealing with gravitational force acting between two masses, that is Earth and any other mass, I am considering one mass here. This is one smaller mass here. If I leave this mass at this position, obviously it will be directed towards the center of Earth. Okay. Likewise, if I am taking another mass here and if I leave it at this position, it will be directed towards the center of Earth. If I leave one mass here, it will be directed towards the center of Earth. If I leave one mass here, it is directed towards center of Earth. Now, this is a point mass. Any mass, if you are leaving it, taking to certain height from the center of the Earth, if you are leaving that mass, it will be pulled towards Earth's center. Obvious, that is in our daily life, you can experience that. Any object, if I leave this pen here, if you leave it, it will obviously fall down towards the Earth. Likewise, all these masses will be pulled towards the center of Earth. So that means there is a gravitational force acting on this mass M, and that gravitational force I am considering it as F. Here also, upon this mass there is gravitational force, upon this mass there is gravitational force, upon this mass gravitational force. This gravitational force is acted by Earth mass, I am taking it as capital M, on this smaller mass. Therefore, here you can write gravitational field. Gravitational field is denoted with E. Gravitational field is gravitational force experienced by a point mass placed in the vicinity of another larger mass distance. So here I can write gravitational field capital E bar is equal to capital F is the force experienced by this point mass. So I will write that force as capital G, capital M, small m divided by separation between these two. I can consider this separation as center to center separation. I will take this separation as R. And this is R square into M. M and M gets cancelled. And of course, gravitational force, we are taking it negative. Therefore, it is towards the center of the Earth. As a result, the negative sign will be carried forward in the gravitational field also. So gravitational field capital E can now be written as minus capital G, capital M divided by R square. This is equation for gravitational field. Right? So the definition of gravitational field can be written as it is the region surrounded by capital M mass. I am taking this capital M mass, which is Earth. I am imagining that it is Earth. This capital M mass is surrounded by some region, some space. In that space, you are taking smaller M mass, and that small M mass is being pulled towards the Earth. That smaller M mass is experiencing gravitational force of capital M mass. Till where smaller M mass will experience gravitational force of this capital M mass, the total region is said to be gravitational field of capital M mass. So it is the region surrounded by a mass capital M. Now see, this is the region where it is marked with circles. It is the region where surrounded by capital M mass, and another point mass is experiencing gravitational force upon itself. Now you are taking one mass M which is at a distance r, smaller mass, this point mass. That point mass is experiencing a force of capital M mass. So it can be 1 meter or 1 kilometer or 100 kilometer or 1000 kilometer, wherever it is the space in that region. If it is able to experience the force, that region is said to be as gravitational field. And gravitational field is vector quantity. Gravitational field is vector quantity. Its direction is towards greater mass side. So as gravitational force is attractive force, gravitational field is always towards the greater mass side. So in where there is greater mass object, towards that you need to put the arrow mark. So it is a vector quantity. Gravitational field is a vector quantity. Usually it will be in the direction of gravitational force. If you are taking a test mass or a point mass, and if you leave it, in which direction it is moving towards the greater mass, that will be the direction of gravitational field. Okay, and the mathematical equation for gravitational field is this: minus capital G capital M by r square, or even you can use this equation for solving problems as well. This is gravitational field equation. One more equation: E is equal to minus F by M. This negative sign indicates attractive. This negative sign here indicates that it is attractive force. It is towards the center of larger mass. And if you are just writing the magnitude, you need not take this negative sign. Simply I can write E magnitude is equal to capital G capital M divided by r square. This is magnitude of gravitational field. Students, we already have learned gravitational force acting between 2 point masses. Likewise, there may be 2 or more number of masses. Because of them there will be a gravitational field, and gravitational field obeys superposition principle. Gravitational field obeys superposition principle. Gravitational force also obey superposition principle. Superposition principle is nothing but, say for example, you have mass m1 here, mass m2 here, and here is a point P. m1 is at a distance r1 from this point P. m2 is at a distance r2 from point P. Therefore, what is the net gravitational field at point P? Net gravitational field experienced at this point P will be gravitational field due to mass m1 plus gravitational field due to mass m2. Therefore, E net is equal to sum of gravitational field of all the masses which are involved over there. That itself is said to be superposition principle. So as many number of masses may be there, simply you will just add all those vectors so that you will be getting net gravitational field, and this is vector sum. Remember that it is vector sum. So superposition principle states that when two or more number of masses are involved, in such cases each mass will project some gravitational field. Net gravitational field at any particular point will be sum of all the field acted by individual masses at that particular point. Just like how I have written here, E net is equal to E1 bar plus E2 bar plus E3 bar, so on. This is superposition principle. Now using superposition principle, you can find out gravitational field due to any point masses. For example, you can take different masses situated at a point. You can take one mass here, you can take another mass here, you can take another mass here, and I can consider a point P, right? This is mass m1, this is mass m2, this is mass m3. Now at point P there is a force experienced by a particle. If I place a particle at point P, it will be experiencing a force because of this mass m2 and because of this mass m1 and because of this mass m3. So I can just write it as gravitational field due to E1, gravitational field due to mass second one, gravitational field due to mass 3, that is E3. So how do you write E net? E net is equal to, this is a vector sum of E1 bar plus E2 bar plus E3 bar. This is how you can calculate gravitational field due to as many number of masses. I want to now find out gravitational field due to 3 point masses which are placed at vertex of the triangle. You have a triangle and that triangle have 3 masses at the vertex situated m, 2m and 3m, and there is the centroid at this point, and at the centroid point P I want to find out gravitational field. You should calculate gravitational field due to these 3 masses which is experiencing at the centroid. So for that, first let me calculate what is the centroid distance. This is the distance of the centroid, this is distance of the centroid, this is distance of the centroid from the 3 masses. Okay, now I am considering this right angle triangle. This angle will be obviously 30 degrees and this angle will be r, this length will be r by 2. I want to find out this x. X is the centroid length. In order to use gravitational field equation, first I should calculate what is the distance of centroid from the vertex. So centroid distance, you can write it as cos 30 is equal to, cos 30 is equal to r by 2 divided by x. So x will be equal to x comes over here, it is r divided by 2 into cos 30. This is r divided by 2 into cos 30 is root 3 by 2. This 2 and 2 gets cancelled, which is equal to r by root 3. So centroid distance x we have calculated, it is r by root 3. So this distance is r by root 3, this distance is r by root 3, this distance is r by root 3. I want to now find out gravitational field because of these 3 masses. So therefore there will be 3 vectors which are acting over here, and those 3 vectors are represented like this. This 2m will experience a force. Because of this 2m, field will be in its own direction, and because of this m, there will be field in this direction. Because of 3m, there will be field in this direction. I will mark them as E1 and E2, E3. Okay, E1, E2, E3 are the gravitational fields acting due to these 3 masses. Now how do you write E1? E1 is equal to capital G m divided by distance, it is r by root 3 whole square. This is equal to capital G m divided by r square into r square divided by 1 by 3. That 3 goes here. This is 3 and mass is m, that is E1. Likewise E2 is equal to capital G 2m divided by r by root 3 whole square, which is equal to 6 capital G m divided by r square. E3 is equal to capital G 3m divided by r by root 3 whole square, which is equal to 9 capital G m divided by r square. E1, E2, E3, these are the three different fields experienced at this point P. Now I can take this as 3 alpha, 6 alpha, 9 alpha, where alpha is equal to capital G m divided by r square. So instead of writing always capital G m divided by r square, I want to make it simple. Therefore I am writing it as 3 alpha, 6 alpha, 9 alpha. These are vector quantities. Now let me draw those vectors here. This is one vector. This is another vector. And this is another vector. These are the three vectors. It is E1. This is E2. This is E3. Okay. E1, E2, E3 are not in the same direction. E1, E2, E3 are not in the same direction. Therefore, you cannot add them directly. Therefore, what we will do is, you will find out the resultant of E2 and E3. That will be obviously opposite to E1. So you can just subtract E1 and the resultant of E2, E3. That is one way. Or you can resolve E2 into two components, E3 into two components, and you can find out the net vectors. Anyway, you can find out the answer. What I do, I'll take this angle. This angle is like, I'll take this as x-axis, and I'll take this as y-axis. I'll resolve the vectors into components. I'll resolve these vectors into components. This bottom vectors, I'll resolve it into components. Obviously, this angle will be 60. One component in this direction, one component in this direction, one component in this direction, one component in this direction. Okay. Now, this is 60 degrees. It is E3 cos 60 and E2 cos 60. Likewise, here it is E3 sin 60 and this is E2 sin 60. Right? And E1 is upward. You can just write down along x-axis. E net along x-axis is equal to, along x-axis right side there is a field, that is E2 sin 60. Sin 60 is root 3 by 2. So therefore it is root 3 E2 divided by 2 minus left side it is E3 sin 60, that is root 3 by 2 into E3, and this is along x-axis. I will represent it with I cap. Likewise, E net along y direction will be equal to, along y direction upward there is one vector E1, downward there are two vectors, that is E3 cos 60. Cos 60 is 1 by 2. So therefore it is E3 divided by 2 minus E2 divided by 2, and this is J cap. Okay. E1, E2, E3 values already we have written it as 3 alpha, 6 alpha, 9 alpha. So I can just substitute that here. Root 3 by 2 I can take it common. E net is equal to E x I cap plus E y j cap. But what is Ex? Ex is root 3 by 2. I can take it common. Root 3 by 2 into E2 and E3, that is 6 alpha and 3 alpha. So root 3 by 2 into E2 is a 6 alpha, E3 is 9 alpha. This is I cap plus EY. What is E1? E1 it is 3 alpha minus E3 is 9 alpha by 2 minus E2 is 6 alpha divided by 2, and this is J cap. So finally you can write it as 6 alpha minus 9 alpha, it is minus 3 into alpha into root 3 divided by 2 I cap plus LCM is 2, it is a 6 alpha plus 6 alpha minus 6 alpha gets cancelled, remainder will be only minus 9 alpha divided by 2. Am I right? This is equal to 9 alpha divided by 2, and it is J cap. Okay, now alpha you can take it out, 2 also you can take it out, it is alpha divided by 2 into alpha divided by 2 you can take it out, so it will be minus 3 root 3 I cap plus 9 J cap. This is the net vector experienced at the centroid of the triangle.